That's how they get you.
All right. So what has happened is we have more than enough people, and we cut off at 60. And we wound up with 71 entrants. We probably have more. We actually have more, but they didn't make it in time. There were glitches and complications. So we have 71 videos that actually came in for this contest, which is in the like one of the top 4. Because we usually cut it off. We cut it off one year at 60. We went to 80. One year I think we went to 100. I can't remember. Because we can only put so much stress on the judges is basically it, you know. And it used to be 2 days. We had the contest over 2 days. It started on a Friday and it went on a Saturday, and it was like trying to get the same group of judges, and it was a complicated. I said, screw this, man. This isn't working. We can't do this over 2 days. This just has to be one long day. And then once we made it a festival again, we tried to do it 2 days. We brought in a producer. And she crapped out on us. Say, crapped out?
Crapped out.
Not a good thing. And so that was kind of it. So each year has had its own kind of set of situations. And this year, number 13, the Baker's Dozen, we had a complete great turnout. Very few really, really bad. You know, we show them all. We show them all to you guys. But very few really bad videos. And we had a lot of really good ones, and we had a couple of ones that made you go, wow, okay, that's pretty cool. That came in really nice. So we got that all lined up for you. And then out of our panel of judges, we had 10 that we went after, and we confirmed and locked down today our last casting director, and we got 9 out of 10, which is pretty stinking good. So we have a really nice panel coming in. I bought them some really nice stuff to thank them, and it's cool. I got them some Bluetooth wireless waterproof earbuds.
Hey.
Oh, cool.
Nice. That's it.
To say thank you for coming in and judging our peeps, and cast them and represent them and hire them and do all that great stuff. We were going through one of the video. We were looking for a video we wanted to show as a Duffer video. Say Duffer.
Duffer.
A Duffer video, so that the judges can see the winner of last year, and then also a movie that just isn't good, so they can kind of understand how to judge, give them some kind of relativity to go off of. And so we were going through 2017s and just trying to find a Duffer video. And I think Lauren said, "Oh yeah, let's go with Angela." I says, "Angela, that video launched her career. She got representation, and she landed a film who put her on the map, and now she's rolling because of that video." That's not a Duffer video, but it was just neat to go back to 2017 and remember what happened to that gal. Her career got started in the studio. I mean, that's just how it happened. And so, you know, it's kind of cool. So it's going on. It's cool. It's great. It's all happening. We're going to stream it live. We went through all the technology. We'll be working through all the bugs tomorrow. And so this way, when you guys that are in town and are here, the doors are going to open for you. If you are part of the Q&A, I think those doors open at 4:15 or so, something like that, 4:15?
Website says 4.
I think it's 4:15. So which is fine. Or 4. I don't know. It's wherever it is in there. And then that's going to go to about 4:45 or 5, depending upon how riled they get. The Q&A is always a blast because these guys, sometimes they crossfire, and you get to see them really just busting. Like one time, one of them said something got up, and one of them went, there's 2 producers that filmed, they shot all kinds of stuff. They were a producing team. They went, wow, that video, that monologue was really great. And there was a manager on the other side of the room that said, where have you ever seen that character in a breakdown? And I'm like, ooh, this is getting good. And she turned around, I remember her name was Amanda Llewellyn. She turned around and said, the performance was da-da-da, and she went on, da-da-da, and he said, I read these breakdowns every day, from 9 until the end of the day, and I have never in my life seen that character. And you're like, ooh, this is really insightful. So they like get heated up and stuff. Then we had one year where I told them, I said, okay guys, we're going to put the cameras on you guys because we want the live audience to be able to see you. They all got camera shy. And they didn't say a word through the whole contest. It's the most boring panel we ever had. They were all dead. They were just, I'm like, this is a freaking morgue. This is terrible. So
cameras on them.
anyway, so you don't know what you're going to get. But this year, I've got a whole new diverse panel, and I'm really going to kick them in the butts and fire them up and get them all excited and rile these guys and just let them just rip through this. And so it's going to be a really exciting thing. And if you're coming for the actual for viewing, anybody's welcome to come to the viewing. You just got to register and come in, and then that kicks off at well, then we have a cocktail party from 5 to 6:30, and then an orientation for you guys, and then something else is going on, and then we show all the movies from 7 to 10. Then an awards presentation. Winter Andrews is coming in as the winner of last year to give away the winners' trophies to the winners, and c'est la vie. Another year in the can. Number 13. I think I will retire now. I don't know that I'm going to do this anymore, unless some financier comes in and goes, let's turn this into a reality TV show. And I go, show me the money.
Yeah.
Okay, show me the money, and I'll be there for you. But outside of that, man, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work.
Thank you for doing the work for us.
Yeah, I try to help you guys get exposure and do what I can for you guys. You know, you're just supposed to come in. I'm just supposed to correct you and send you on your way. But you know, that's boring.
But you're diligent.
Look, I'm just a solution-oriented, opportunity-seizing kind of person. I just look for opportunities and I just capitalize them. We just finished our Nancy Mindy show. We put the finishing polishes on it, finally. It is now polished and locked and done, and we're putting the pitch reel together. I mean, the pitch package together, and that's already went off to one industry professional yesterday, and I haven't even started marketing it yet. So we're going to get out there and get a show deal for Nancy Mindy.
Nancy Mindy.
And then I'll be a showrunner on every night except Thursday.
Okay.
And I'll have one class.
Okay.
I'll just come in on Thursdays and teach, and then I'll run my show, and then we'll get other shows, and we'll be able to cast everybody. So those are my goals. So let's segue. Here we go. We're going to segue, guys. What's happening is we're in Pathways to Empowerment. Say success, yeah.
Success, yeah.
Okay, so Pathways to Empowerment. I'm going to be talking about this over the next few months. In addition to the acting training, I'm doing it in the Tuesday class. This Tuesday we had a technical kind of fall. Excuse me. This Tuesday we had a technical fallout, and so I'm going to give you a condensed, truncated version of it, and you guys are going to get it in this class as we move along through Pathways to Empowerment. And I didn't plan on doing this in the advanced class earlier because we go straight into the work in the master class. This is the advanced class. But the spirit came in, things got excited, and I empowered the earlier class with principles on vision and understanding where you're going. This is going to get a little interactive, and because we're a little smaller, I'm going to take a little bit more time with this and then give you guys an interactive exercise that some of you might have done a year or two ago, but we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it for this year, which I promise you is going to trip you up and blow your mind. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you're going to get a lot out of it. But what I want to do is just a quick review. We started this just like you have to start with everything, and that's with having a vision. You got to have a vision. Without a vision, you're done. You can't get anything done without seeing it first. Anybody that's ever done anything worthwhile has seen it and then carries it out fruition. Okay? So we talked about this last week a little bit, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah? How many of you have actually gotten to work on active journaling, vision boards, vision statements? Okay, excellent. Excellent. That's exciting because that's what this is all about for you. Now, here, just as a little bit of reinforcement, and for those of you guys that are watching, for wherever you're seeing this, when I was a young guy, I didn't even know that we all have gifts and we all have special deposits. Do you guys believe that?
Mm-hmm.
Of course. You look around. There's people with special deposits. You're not going to see me playing center for the LA Lakers. I mean, come on. That's not my gift. It's not what was deposited in me. And when I was young, I didn't know that I had a deposit of instructor and edifier and encourager. I didn't know that. It just birthed itself out of me. But as a young guy who was just coming into this whole thing, I was starting to read books of wisdom, if you will, motivational books, instructional books, books by power teachers, things on life, things like that. And the question that came to me when I was reading all these different people is, where did these guys get the information? Well, they got it from somebody else that wrote a book. Where'd they get the information? That they got it from other people who talked about it. Where'd they get the information? And that's just the way my brain works. My brain will always go, okay, fine, but why, but where, how come, where's the activator? And I'm always looking for the activator. In science, they call it true north, that a compass will always point to true north, a valid compass. That's science, the magnetic North Pole. In law, they call it point of law. I understand your argument, but this is what the law says. There's always a point on where things derive from. And for me, with life wisdom teachings, I was always like, where does this information come from? Well, our ancestors, where did they get it from? So for me, as a seeker of truth and instruction and knowledge to impart to other people, through years of doing this and finding out that this is interesting, I'm reading on this woman, and she's got these 3 points right here that line up with what this guy said, that I watched his video, that line up with those 4 points that he has, that line up with this person. And I go, okay, they're all categorically talking about this. But within that category, these are the points that line up. That must be truth. Where did that come from? And in my journey, for me, my belief is it comes from divine wisdom, from source and original creation, our original creator, where all wisdom comes from. And wisdom comes down and it gets passed. And in that wisdom, there's off wisdom, and there are things that kind of seem right, but they're not. And our job is to find out, well, what really is truth? Because I don't want to have a cheap imitation of the real thing. I want the real thing. I don't want to have a knockoff, especially when it comes to me making plans for my life, people I love, maybe my children. I want the real thing. As an instructor, I seek diligently truth because I am held accountable for what I put out. I want to make sure, to the best of my ability, that when I speak and I'm talking and I'm training and I'm teaching, that to the best of my due diligence, I am speaking the truth as I understand it. If this makes sense, say yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, terrific. So going through that, something that happens, when I find it very interesting, because I plug myself into a lot of eclectic, different type of instructional platforms from really, really far off. If I go home and I say, Alexa, I can't say it too loud because she's listening. She's winking at me right now. And if I say, Alexa, she's hearing me. So weird. Flash briefing. And flash briefing is basically give me my news report. And I get CNN, I get Fox, I get Reuters, and I get another 2. I get my news from all of it. I don't just listen to one thing. When I study things, I try to hear from different areas and different dynamics so that I can formulate my own opinion and not just hear it and go, oh, that must be it. Well, I looked it up on the internet. YouTube told me, well, did you cross-platform those things? Have you checked with a few different sources to see that the monkey that uploaded it on YouTube or put it on the internet knows what they're talking about? Oh, well, it was on the internet. Yeah, okay, there's a lot of stuff on the internet. We're responsible to find these things out for ourselves. So in looking for information to support what I want to do, I'm always keeping myself in check. So for example, Pathways to Empowerment is something I've been working on since the 80s. I formulated it into a teaching series, a book, and ultimately it's going to go on out as an entire teaching platform where people will be able to take these knowledges, if you will, and be able to share them all over the place. I said, I want to change it as I know it, and I want to look into different ways to teach what I'm teaching this year for 2020. And when I plug into my different sources, especially in January, the interesting thing is they're talking about the same thing: vision, goals, shedding the past, letting the old go, looking into the new. Come on, this isn't brain surgery. And I'm going, well, this still all lines up with pathways. Why would I want to change it? But the point is, I test it. I'm constantly testing it to see that it's still relevant and on point for today. Now, for example, years ago when I taught this, I would tell you about different things that you should be writing. Now there are apps for it. So obviously we make provision for the apps and the technology that's available, because who's going to go sit there and write all this stuff when you know you can get an interactive app that you can do it on? So great. So we make those adjustments, but it doesn't change the point of what we're trying to get out of that. Are you guys following me on this? Okay, so I say all this to give reinforcement to you that what I'm talking to you about isn't something, well, this is Coach Banks' method, and he's this guru that's going to teach us this new way to find the secret and the answers to the universe. That's not what this is about. These are core, basic platform principles. Many of you are doing them, and this will be a reminder. Some of you guys futz around with it, and it'll be a re-stimulator. And for some of you guys, it will actually be a whole new insight.
There's not enough space on the SIM card. It's blinking.
You know, I can't get an effing freaking
Sorry to
copy
interrupt
of
this beautiful
anything
talk,
that I
but-
do without there being I've been doing this for decades, and I cannot get this. I can't get myself
Do you have another
captured.
SIM card?
No, I don't.
Do you want me to
This
record
is
it on my
really
phone?
ball buster for me, and we planned this for 2 days to not have any errors.
I'm running it on 6.
You know, this is a ball buster.
I can get you on my phone.
No, it's a whole nother
We're
deal.
running on
It's a whole nother.
6, but-
Every time I go to teach this stuff, the electronics go corrupt. Must mean it's good information.
It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's coach
I
is
wanted to get out.
valuable. It's not trying to get out.
Did it stop recording?
Well, I stopped it because it was blinking like crazy. And
My God. You know what happened on Tuesday? The microphones weren't plugged in.
I have this one, but it's just 4 gigs. I don't know if that's gonna even be, you know.
Is it empty? Yours, the second one, is it empty?
I don't know.
Yeah. Let me get to the point. I want to knock this stuff out. I got like 8 minutes to knock this out.
This one doesn't work for this.
All
one.
right. All right.
Let me
It's-
try to
it's
record
just
as much
not
as
gonna-
I can,
This hasn't
but-
been an uphill battle. I've got this online learning program. We're working on our 4th year. This is ridiculous.
I don't know how long it's gonna record, but I'm just gonna record it.
All right, go for it.
Go ahead.
All right. You know, when you have a setback, don't take a step back. Get ready for your comeback.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
You know, you take the hit, you feel the pain, and that's no good because we're human. But after the sting goes, that's where we do what we need to do to show who we are. So let me pick this back up and move on into this thing. And we'll figure out how to make that edit work if there's any room on this thing to continue to go. So, my point being is the things that I'm telling you are grounded in business, period. It doesn't make any difference whether your business is a multi-million-dollar business or to stay home and manage a family and raise some kids and make sure that the house works. It doesn't make any difference. If your business is a traditional company or you're in the entertainment industry, these are business principles that will help your life to maintain neutral buoyancy. Say that.
Neutral buoyancy.
An undiving term means balance. You're not going too wacky this way, that way, this way. You've got balance. You're diving, you're floating, you're flying, you're traveling, you're driving, and you're balanced. You're not off whack. And if you get off whack, it's not like 4 years to get you back on track. You get off whack. I look at it this way. When you're in the pathway to empowerment, it's like being on that road when you kind of lose, you get lost in a song or something and you hear when you hear those little road reminders, what do?
Get back on it.
Get back on, get back in your groove. You stay in your lane and you keep on going. You don't go, oh no, I hear the noise, and go off into somebody's front yard, crash through their living room, kill the cat. I know, sorry. You don't do that. Some people do, but you don't want to do that because bouncing back from that is a little harder than that. So instead of high maintenance, we just do correct. And that's how you want your life to function and you want it to run. So we're going to cover these core principles. And so what we're going to do now is just do a quick review on what I talked to you about, that you have to make a commitment to this. And you need to make a commitment statement in the form of your vision statement going, this is the work that I am going to do as a commitment to seeing this all the way through. Why? Because it's easy to start anything. Everybody, January is the startup month. Check on them in March and see how many are still going to the gym like they did in January. See how many are still eating the same way that they were in January. See how many people are, you get the point. Okay? It's easy to start. It isn't easy to finish. I saw a bumper sticker one time in Hollywood. It said, nice guys finish their films. And that to me was from a disgruntled actor who's been waiting for copy for years on the projects they did and they were promised because they weren't paid. Right?
Preach.
Yeah. Well, you know what I'm saying. Why? Because it's hard to finish a film. It really is. So you want to commit to doing the work. You want to stay the course, and you want to make your statement of faith. You want to get down in words what it is you're about, who it is you are, what you're looking to do, and all these things working together. Now, a tool that's going to help you work through this manual, I call an active journal, or known as active journaling. It's not a diary. The difference between a diary and a journal is that a diary is where you sit down with a book and you go, oh, well, today I met Chris. And what a lovely day it was. And, and you're just kind of just recording what went on with your events. A journal is where you're making declarations and statements, and you're scratching things out, and you're changing them around, and you're scribbling, and you're drawing, and you just you're dumping your mind onto a pad so that you can take your subjective view and get an objective perspective of it. Because objectivity is going to give you a stronger insight into things than subjectivity. Has anybody ever told you, calm down, stay away from it for a little bit, think about it, and then do something, right? Why? Because you have to get away from the heated subjectivity of the matter, and you want to get an objective perspective. The whole point of counseling and counselors and teachers and coaches are to help you with subjectivity. People say, what do you do for a living? I say, I'm an empowerment coach. What's that mean? I say, I come alongside people that are looking to do something and give them a subjective perspective on their objective desires and help them reach their goals. If not, I wouldn't be here. This wouldn't be a position. I'd be doing something else. That's the whole point of it. Why does every movie set have a director? Because the actors are subjective. Directing themselves is quite difficult. But when you have somebody that's subjective and they're putting their perspective on that, you're able to see it for what it is as a picture objectively. Sense this makes to you, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, great. So you want to make that statement of faith and start working on your vision boards so that your vision boards are very clear and you know what's going on, you've got them, and they're looking you in the face, you're working with them actively on a regular basis. Okay, great. Let me jump down to week 2. We're in week 2 right now, and I'm just going to cover these points for you categorically, and we'll just jump in for a few minutes and we'll be done with this. Okay, this category is called values, goals, tasks, and chores. And what these things are different categories to explain how we get things done. just like building anything, if it's built out of order, it's not going to function as well as if you build it in order. And it has to do with the way that we think about things. By you recording your values, your goals, your tasks, knowing the difference between a task and a chore, you're able to get it down and see it differently, and then you start thinking about it differently. So, for example, a value. I want to start with values, because a value, by definition, is what's at the core of you. Your core truth. What's core important to you? How do you live your life? What life condition do you desire? And the thing about values are, they usually are either embedded into us through genetic encoding, they're impregnated into us by our parents or guardians who raised us, or we've been conditioned because of our surroundings. But it's who we are. They've done tests where they've taken identical twins and raised them in two different, completely different life conditions. And even though they're identical twins and they should be the same, and there are certain things about them that are similar, they're different people. There was even a Tarzan story once that Tarzan was actually a twin, and they got separated. One ran off into the jungle and the other wound up with an aristocratic family. And years went by until they were grown men, and they encounter each other. It's a story. And they encounter each other, and one's living in this mansion, and the other's in the jungle with the freaking animals. And they're identical twins. And they were just raised differently with different values, and they couldn't intermingle. No matter how cushy and comfortable the mansion seemed, it didn't work for Tarzan. Because he's king of the apes. Right? Oh! Right? You guys know what I'm talking about. If not, I look really weird right now, right? Okay, so we all have values, and we all have a value system, a faith-based morality, what it is we will and won't do, and how we will and won't be. Now, some people are really fast and loose, and other people are very austere and strict. But those are our value systems, and our value is usually a given, meaning at the end of the day, if our goals are completely counter opposite to our values, you're going to have Prince Henry not wanting to be in the palace anymore. At the time of filming, this is going on. Okay, I mean, think about it. Think about it. It's embedded in, but that's not who this particular person is, and had to leave it all behind because their values were different than their family's values. Usually they're called the black sheep. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you are a quiet, introverted, peaceful individual that has a sanctified existence, and you enjoy that highly as a core value, and you decide you want to be a rock star because that's what your goals are telling you, you're in conflict with yourself. You're going to pay that price over time. It's not going to work. So part of going through life is discovering, who am I? And does my work line up with who I am? Do I line up with what I do? Because when you're out of alignment, you get tension and pull. When you're in alignment, you get thrust, power, focus, and joy. So many other things. So you need to discover this through prayer and meditation and taking personal time for you. Not, this is what mama tells me. This is what my dad and my brother did. Who are you? What are you about? And that's where you see the stereotypical shows of the drill sergeant that has an artistic son and is trying to force him into the military, and it just doesn't work. And you got that conflict. We know that story, right? How many times have we seen that, right? Okay, so it's important to assess your values and to check in with your values on a somewhat infrequent basis or regular basis, depending on your growth. But every year is a good time to go ahead and go, well, who am I? And what am I really about? And do I have my ladder leaning up against the right building of success? Here's where you run into a lot of people that spend $80,000 in tuitions, if not more, to get a degree, only to find out 18 months later they hate what they're doing. This is a big issue. And now, at point of filming, taxpayers are supposed to pay for this, right? It just came out in the news today. It's a whole nother deal. We're all supposed to pay off student debt now, right? Yeah, okay. All right.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm not going to get political here. Okay. It's an issue. It's an issue. So get in check with who you are and what it is you want to do. Because if you're in a QB making $80,000 a year, driving your BMW, and inside is a thriving artist that's screaming to get out, you're in conflict. And you got to make those adjustments. So you want your life to revolve strongly around your core value system. Because if not, you're going to be paying the price. All right, going to wrap this up. Chores, tasks, goals. We're going to talk about them right now. All right, so what's the difference? A chore is something that just needs to be done somewhat regularly to maintain your life. The things that keep your life functional and working, those are chores. You don't wash the dishes, the kitchen becomes an unpleasant room. You don't do your laundry, eventually it's going to catch up with you. To some degree, personal hygiene is a chore. It's a daily chore. I mean, you got to get in, you got to do the thing, you know? We got to do it. It's a chore. It's not a goal, it's not a task, it's a chore. You do it and you understand it as a chore, and we do chores. And when you get your chores figured out and you get into a certain pattern, you get these chores done and they start to work harmoniously with your life as opposed to you complaining about the chores. I can't believe every Tuesday I got to take these trash cans out and bring them to the curb. I mean, if I live like that, I'm out of my mind. Guess what? The garbage dude comes on Wednesday morning. If I don't bring those cans out, it piles up. It's not pleasant. It creates more problems. Now you're in overhaul as opposed to a chore. And a chore not tended to becomes maintenance or an overhaul. And you wind up in trouble. So you stay on top of your chores. They're just the things that you need to do to keep your life functioning. Different from a task. A task is an immediate thing that needs getting done. Say, getting done.
Getting done.
For those of you down in the South, that ain't nothing new to you. You gotta get it done. Get her done. Things that need to get done. Usually people do a to-do list or a honey-do list. It's a list of things that generally you gotta go, oh, right, I ran out of so-and-so. I gotta go get that. So that's basically a task. It's not a chore. It's not done the same way all the time on a regular basis. There's things that you got to take care of that need getting done. All right, and those are tasks. Next, we get into the goals, and I'm going to end it on my list of goals. So goals come into 6 different categories, in my opinion. Now, I've been studying goal books and looking at different goal teachers and and at the beginning of the year, they're not hard to find. And I've dissected my goals with their goals and looked at them and made some adjustments over the year. And right now, to date, here's the way that I define my goals. That you have, first of all, what is a goal? It's what you're striving for that you don't already have possession of. Man, I want to save up and get that new outfit. That's a goal. I want to own my own company. That's a goal. You don't have possession of it. Now, first is an immediate goal. An immediate goal is that things that you have set that are not tasks, but there are things that are out of your possession that you don't have the resources or the ability to get to because of time, resources, money, and you're working towards them. And they're usually going to come within weeks, maybe months. It's all relative to you. But those are your short, immediate, your immediate goals. So my immediate goal is I got to get all of the judges' bags put together for this contest we're going to have this weekend. It's a goal to go out and pick up all the things I want to put in there. I want to put them together. It's a goal to get somebody to help me to do it, strategize it. I put that as a goal. We knocked it out today. So that was an immediate goal. It got knocked out. When you have a project at hand, your immediate goals are going to happen hourly or daily. If you're not working on a major specific project, but you are the project, those goals might be weeks. But they're immediate. They're as close to immediate in relative proportion to what that project is. Then you have the short-term goal. And a short-term goal is the closest significant goal to you in the immediate or near future. So they just go to the next level. So when you're making your list, you go, well, this is an immediate goal. That needs urgent attention. This is a short-term goal. They go behind the immediate goals. See, it's just giving you a way to set your life up so that it's making more sense and you're not going after things that, well, why did you do that? You put in all that time and effort to go after that goal when you have these immediate things that really need your attention. And that's whether your house is in order or not. Now, this isn't something that's some 100% perfect science. Of course, we don't always get this right. And that's why I'm an 80-20 principle guy. If you're living 80-20, you're probably going to be pretty good shape. Meaning 80% of all the decisions and the choices that you make are going to be more empowered than the 20% that are stupid. Because if you invert that, like some of your friends and my friends, and they're 80% stupid and 20% on, well, generally that doesn't equate to a successful life. That's my feeling on it, because those of you that are after perfection, God bless you and good luck.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to make you and everybody in your world crazy. So get over it. All right. Next, mid-range goals, and we're almost there. Mid-range goals are generally something that's going to need to be taken care of within a year or going maybe into the next year. They're not immediate, they're not short, they're mid-range. You need to do things in order to get things in place to accomplish them. Sometimes you make something a short-term goal and it winds up becoming a mid-range goal, or vice versa. And that can happen. This is just a way to organize yourself. A long-term goals happen after years, or what we say, down the road. At some point, I'm going to get married and have children. Maybe for some of you gals in your late 20s or early 30s, that might not be a long-term goal. For maybe a teenager, it would be a long-term goal. You see, depending. It's all in perspective to you. So you want to set your goals in a way that you know, I want to buy that guitar. Can I get that guitar this year? I got a lot of immediate things that need attention, and I want this really nice guitar, and it's $1,000, and it might take a little while for me to get that guitar. And it depends. For some people, it's an island. For other people, it's a pocket knife. It's all relative to you. It's what works for you, because you put this into your sequence. Okay, I'm almost done. Two last ones. One is what I call, and I haven't seen it anywhere else. These are not new. I call it an idealistic goal. And I came up with idealistic goal as an actual thing because of people that were putting idealism into their long-term goals and not being content until they reached these things that were just ridiculous. I mean, they weren't ridiculous. That's another goal. They were idealistic. So, for example, you're here in an acting studio training to learn the craft of acting with the intention of working and being paid as an actor. In you somewhere, most likely or more than likely, is the thought, it would be really cool to win an award. A Golden Globe, a SAG Award, the Academy Award, a Grammy, a Chloe, a Cleo, a Joey, a Bobby, a Mary, a Tommy, a Yin Yang, a Bing Bang. Gosh, it doesn't matter. Whatever award it is. Is it going to happen? Generally, for most people, no. They'll have successful careers, make 6, 7 figures, maybe 8, and then that never happened to them. You know what I found out today on the news? The Rolling Stones never had a #1 song in the history of the Rolling Stones. And they only had one song that made the top 10. And they're considered the top rock and roll band. Do you think it's stopping them from making $1 million a song every time they play out? Do you think it's stopping them from having joy and contentment in what they do and who they are? You see, an idealistic goal, I put it in the category of idealism because you don't need it, but it would be really cool if it happened. Right? Tracking with me? Yeah, you don't get it, coach. I'm here to get an Academy Award, and that's it. That's it, because my goals are strong. And I said, okay, God bless you. You know, good, go for that. I'm just telling you, I don't know that that's the healthiest way. Because you can still have happiness, a full life, and contentment without idealistic goals being reached. I've got a ton of idealistic goals. I'm an idealist. Drives Lauren nuts. Coach, you're always envisioning things, and we can't get it done. She's a realist. I'm an idealist. We fight like crazy. But I don't need them to happen. But they're there because here's the deal. These principles that I'm teaching you and cool things that you do yourself, that you put into practice and stay diligent with, that's the machine. That's you being here right now in the studio tonight studying. That's the machine. You're doing something about it. All these other dreams and idealisms, they're the steam that drives the machine. But if you have steam and no machine, you're just a dreamer. If you're a doer without dreams, you're missing out on the passion. So you want to combine them, but you want to keep them in perspective. Like fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. If fats are #1, carbohydrates are #2, and proteins are #3, you're overweight. If proteins are #1, and carbohydrates are #2, and fats are #3, and you're putting that, you're in zone. Because that's how the body burns. So you're lining up properly. So you don't want to over-dream and under-machine. And you don't want to over-machine and under-dream. So you want to keep things in perspective so that you're like, for me, I'm doing stuff. I'm on my 3rd career, working on my 4th. Getting stuff done. But there's all kind of things I didn't reach and didn't do, but they're still there and I still believe in them. Many have happened. Many haven't. But they keep me driven to continue to keep working. So you got to get the yin and yang going in it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Guys, tracking with me? I'm done. Last thing, ridiculous goals. And ridiculous goals are things that when you share them, people are just like, what? Now, every so often a ridiculous goal becomes a new invention and it revolutionizes the world, and the guy who invented Velcro is a multimillionaire and fantastic. You're going to put 2 pieces of fabric together and they're going to hold stronger than a clasp? Ha! They might have thought he was ridiculous. So they can happen. But ridiculous goals are those things that you're just like, you might want to rethink this. Do you really want to put your time and attention into this thing? I give you an idea, and you know, I got a buddy, he's going to rename nameless, who liked to invent things, and he put his world into this invention. And when he shared his invention, you're just like, you want to support him and you want to help him, but you're like, really? And I love you, buddy, I really do. But to this day, the watch chuck, to me, it was a bit ridiculous. He invented 2 pieces of rubber that held a watch on the shoestrings of your shoe or sneaker. Because his feeling was, you're busy and you're doing things, you can't always look for a watch, you can always look down at your foot. I'm like, this is ridiculous. You're gonna kick that thing. It's gonna get. It's just who puts a watch on their shoelaces? To me, it was ridiculous. As a somewhat of a pragmatic perspective, I'm like, I don't know that I would want to go pull the papers and do the blueprints and do all the stuff you need to get that thing fabricated and to make it. And he did. God bless him, he did it. He went through the whole thing. I should look it up. Maybe I'm sticking my foot in my mouth with a watch on it. But to me, that was a bit ridiculous. I had a ridiculous idea when I first came into into money in my early 20s. I was a manager for my company, and I was no longer living in a van, and I had money, and I was making money, and I was in a multi-million-dollar company, and I was like, yeah. My ridiculous goal was I wanted to own a tractor, as in tractor trailer. That's the first part that pulls the big 18-wheelers. And I wanted that to be my personal vehicle because I thought, that's macho. I'm going to have the biggest truck on the streets. And at the time, it was a company called Peterbilt, and it was $135,000 in the 80s. And I was after one. That goal was ridiculous. But I wanted one so bad, and I didn't care where I was going to park it. I was hell-bent on my vehicle being the tractor of an 18-wheeler. I look back on that and I was like, how ridiculous of a goal was that? And I went after that for years until finally common sense kicked in. We have ridiculous goals. It's not going to kill you, but you just need to kind of understand there's a category for them. So when you're looking at these things, you might be going, that's a bit ridiculous. And just kind of maybe put it off to the side or something like that, I'm working on an invention right now because I like inventing stuff. And it's not ridiculous. It's fantastic. Getting it done is ridiculous. I haven't figured it out. But I did get an insight last night. So that's cool. We'll see what happens. Look, I hope this helps you just kind of even while I'm talking to you and you're listening to me for, 35 minutes, that there's a structure to the way you go about doing things. And if you're just haphazard and, this needs attention, I'll do this now. And I'll do this now, and I'll just do this now. You're not as apt as building towards what you're desiring to accomplish as if you put things in an order and have perspective. You're not going to walk into Amazon and see stuff all over the place. You're just not. You'll go into a 99-cent store and see stuff all over the place. I mean, you get it. I mean, I'm picking stuff all the time and throwing it back in the baskets. I doubt Amazon has stuff laying around all over the place and still get you what you want in 2 days or your groceries in 2 hours. The more organized you are, the more efficient you become. Now, that doesn't rob you of your artistic nature, because there are people that do function somewhat in scrambly environments, and that's cool, but it's got to be functional for you. And it needs to make sense for you. Okay? So, work on that a little bit. Start looking at your life. Work in your active ledger. And start putting things into perspective. Set up your immediate short-term, mid-range, long-term goals, your idealistic goals, your ridiculous goals if you have them. Just categorize them on paper, and they will change. That's why it's an active journal. You'll scratch things out. You'll move them around. Some people like using electronic journaling, and that's fine too because it's easy to move things. Whatever your deal is, just go to work on it, okay? And take some time to really think about your values. We're going to take Session 5, we're going to do an assessment. And then in Section 6, we're going to be moving into time management. We're going to be busting that thing out. Okay? We're going to go into a really cool assignment right now. This is going to be pretty neat. Okay? And I don't even know if we're taping anything, so what the hell. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay. All right.
This is
So,
your camera.
what?
This is your camera.
Okay, good. All right, well, whatever. Okay, I'm all right. I'm better. I'm so used to it, it's not even a thing anymore, although it is. Any questions or comments from you guys before we go into this assignment? It's going to take about 15 minutes. You got to go. Oh, yeah, you can go. Yeah, you're done. Thank you. Sorry that it backfired on you. It wasn't your fault.
Good.
I've been shooting a lot of 1-minute monologues on there, and I guess I didn't mention them.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you, Celine. You're awesome, honey. I appreciate you staying. You're going to want to do this assignment at some point.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Just can't tonight.
No, I know. Go. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Bye,
Say
guys.
thanks, Celine.
Thank you.
Thank her. She's helping, working hard for this thing. Okay. All right. Here's what we do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 of us. Okay. That means I'm going to work with one of you guys. Here's what we're going to do. Right now, I want you guys to pair off into 2s. Doesn't matter who you are, just whoever you're sitting next to, pair off into 2s. Okay. All right, Jackie Ball, I'll take you.
Okay.
Well, then we can work
Okay.
together.
I'll take you, Jackie Ball. And we'll do you.
Okay.
Okay.
You're like.
Here's what's going to happen. Pay close attention, because this is going to be life empowering for you. In your group of 2s, there's going to be an A and a B. Make a decision. It makes no difference. It's just somebody's A, somebody's B. It doesn't matter. Oh, you might want to sit next to your partner, by the way, please.
I don't even know when I am.
Yeah, you gotta be
Wait,
talking
were
to
you
each
telling
other.
the truth there or were you? Okay.
So we cut this, Coach?
No, not you.
I'm like in the middle. Do you like